today I'm doing the if you liked this tag, which I think was created by Jen Campbell, who is awesome, so I'll leave her link and you should go and subscribe. But basically what this is I'm going to show like a kind of popular book or a book that I've heard a lot of people talking about, and then show a book that's not as popular but has similar themes and that I think you'll enjoy if you liked the popular book. It will make more sense as we go along because I don't think I'm the best at explaining things, so let's just get into it. The first round of recommendations I have are based on The Night Circus, which is awesome. I really recommend you read this, but I think a lot of people already have, but if you haven't, please do. And this is basically surrounding a magical mystery circus, and that just appears in the middle of the night and no one knows where it's come from or, you know, the origins of the circus, and we follow our two protagonists, Marco and Celia, who basically have to navigate the circus in a magical jewel thing. It's awesome, you read it, it's so good. But if you like this, I recommend The Boy with the Cuckoo Clock Heart, because this is really sweet and I love this book. It's so cute and it's kind of around the same themes of like magic, and it kind of love and clockwork, and I think I don't know if it's a circus, but I know that the girl he falls in love with is some kind of performer. So yeah, and it's well written and it's really sweet, and this cover is just so cute and adorable, and it like goes around the back and And also, if you enjoyed The Night Circus, or this, if you read this, I also recommend I, Coriander and Tanglewreck. Tanglewreck is kind of also a magical mystery thing, but it plays more with time and it doesn't really have anything to do with the circus, but it's kind of got that mystical kind of thriller-esque feel to it, and I really like this book a lot. And I, Coriander is kind of the same, it's magical mystery, and yeah, I read this ages ago and I know it's set in London and I remember loving it, but literally all I remember is she's walking down the street and it's foggy and then she gets stuck in a cupboard. And I really have to reread this because I remember loving it, and yeah, but I think, yeah, just read this because I remember it being amazing and I'm gonna definitely reread. Next up, if you've read It's Kind of a Funny Story, which is set in a mental institution about this boy who's studying at school, and so he tries to kill himself and fails, and then basically gets checked into mental hospital and basically learns that, not that his problems don't matter, but that he kind of gets perspective on them and starts to realise what's great about life rather than what there is to be sad about, and it's really well written and it's a wonderful book. And if you liked this, I recommend Get Well Soon by Julie Halpern, which basically is kind of the same thing, but it's a girl who goes into mental hospital, believes she doesn't belong there, but then kind of makes friends and starts to learn lessons and realise that life is great, basically, and they're both really well written. But next up is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which I'm sure a lot of people have read, but this is kind of, again, like magic but also kind of creepy and gothic, and if you like this, I really recommend Hollow Pike by James Dawson. This basically follows kind of witchcraft but in modern day, and so it's about this girl who moves to a new school and then creepy things start happening and she starts having nightmares, and it's in this really gothic setting with like forests and stuff, and then she finds out there's witchcraft in her town, and it's really really cool and well written, and like it has purple pages. How do you not want to read this? Like, it's just so good. Next up, if you liked Gone Girl, which I'm sure a lot of people have, this is widely talked about and the movie is also great. I really recommend that as well, directed by David Fincher. And if you like this, I really recommend The Shining Girls, which kind of is like Gone Girl in the sense that it's a thriller and people, you know, there's kind of like a murder mystery element, but it's got more of a kind of magical element to it. There's kind of a bit of time travel in it, which it doesn't make sense at first when you read it, but then kind of ties up at the end, and it's really good. And I remember kind of reading this being gripped, so that's kind of the same feeling I had when I read Gone Girl, so I think fans of Gone Girl will really like The Shining Girls. If you're a fan of dystopian novels, then I really recommend that you read the Slated trilogy, which is Slated, Fractured and Shattered, and it's basically, what am I doing? There we go. And it's basically a really good dystopian series set in the UK, which I thought was really interesting because a lot of the dystopian stuff I've read is America-centric. Is that even a phrase? I don't know. But this is really good and basically follows, what's her name? Kyla. And basically at the beginning of the series she's been slated, which means that she has no memories of a past life, and this has happened to her because she's committed a crime. And so if you're underage in the society, if you commit a crime, you get slated, which means your memories get wiped and you get a chance to start over in a new town with a new family. And basically it gives the young people a second chance so they don't end up in jail, basically. And when you're slated, you're not meant to have any memories of your past life, but Kyla does, and she has weird flashbacks and starts to try and piece together the crime. And yeah, it's amazing, it's so good. And everything you want in a dystopian novel, like shady governments, shady people, and lots of action and a little bit of romance. So yeah, it's so good, and I don't know why more people haven't read it. It's awesome. And then lastly, again, if you're a fan of dystopian stuff, I recommend Starters and Enders, which is a really cool, I don't know if it's dystopian, but it's kind of creepy. And it follows the same kind of thread as Slated, is in Callie basically has to survive in her society, and kind of rents out her body, in the sense that she goes to sleep and then an old person can kind of take over her brain and like walk around in it, if that makes sense. Like, it's weird, it's really hard to explain, but basically she goes into this body bank and she goes unconscious, and then basically an old person kind of has these electrodes and can, like, you know, can control her body with their brain, so they can live vicariously through a young person for like a week. And basically she's not meant to wake up, she's meant to just wake up after a week and they are done with their business, and then she walks away and gets paid, and she has to provide for her little brother, so she does this. But then she wakes up halfway through the process and she's kind of lying on the floor, doesn't know what the old person has like been making her do, and then she's like in this really messy situation, and it's really interesting, and it's kind of like thriller-esque, and I really like it. I mean, I can remember, I think I had a few issues with the writing and the pacing, but the actual plot is just so good that I'll keep you reading. It's so good. And lastly, I found a few books on my shelves that I couldn't really find an alternative to, but just, you know, a few ones that I think people should read. That are kind of underrated, but I couldn't find like a popular one that was like, oh, if you like this, read this. So the first one of the underrated books that I found on my shelf is Love Drugged by James Clyde. This is such a good book, and I don't know if I'm the only one that's heard of this, like, in general. Obviously I'm not the only one, but like in my friendship group or at school, like, I've never heard anyone talk about this. This isn't even in our library. So yeah, basically Love Drugged by James Clyde. It's so good. It's about this teenager who's gay, and he's trying to hide the fact that he's gay, and he's got a girlfriend, but, you know, he doesn't really like her because he's gay. And then he finds out that, like, I think it's a parent of a friend or something has developed this pill that makes gay people not gay anymore, and basically he goes on like not a quest, but he tries to basically get this pill, and it's all about the consequences of that and trying to basically hide who you are, and it's really good. Last book I'm going to talk about in this video is Glow by Amy Kathleen Ryan, and I think this is so underrated. It's so good. Like, I see a lot of, I think it's These Broken Stars, which I probably could have likened this to, but I don't actually have that, or I haven't read it either. But it's basically like, it's not a space romance, and it might look like a space romance, but it's so much more. And it starts off with these people on a ship. Sorry, I said ship, and now I'm thinking of like the ship in this book, like the romantic ship. Anyway, and basically they get split apart, and so it's like, it's really weird. At the beginning there's a ship of boys and girls, and they're basically trying to start Earth over because we messed it up, obviously. And then this weird ship comes from behind and just like kidnaps all the girls off of the first ship. It's a bit weird, but really good. And then so like the girl of the, I forgot her name, Waverly, yeah. So Waverly is kidnapped away from Kieran, who's like her, you know, buff, I don't know what, beau, that's the word. Bay is a better word. Okay, yeah, so they get separated. And basically on the girls' ship, the reason they kidnap the girls is because everyone on the other ship is like infertile. It's really strange. And then there's this like religious woman who's like, we must have children, and then Waverly's like, no thank you. And then on Kieran's ship, basically he gets put in charge because his dad was like a captain, and it basically follows him trying to control his ship. And so there are lots of different factors in it. It's kind of like sci-fi, love, betrayal, religion, and like fertility. It's like such a massive mix of things, but it's just done so well and written so well, and really kind of, I read this like 3 years ago, but it's still like stuck in my mind. It's so good and I really recommend it. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any recommendations for me, or like you want to do this, please leave it in the comments or do this tag, because if you want to do it, you're tagged. Haha. So yeah, I'll see you in my next video, and thanks for watching. Bye!